touches a nose boob to the palm of our hand. We can use this as a way to redirect our dog away from something, or simply as a way to warm them up for training or get them focused on us.
Good girl. Nice job.
For sitting down, you're going to want to make sure as you're saying the cue, sit or down, that you're also giving the hand signal, and then only say it once. Try to avoid repeating yourself. That is not helpful to your dog. So say it once, pause, and give her a chance to respond. As you can see, she knows down with the hand signal and the verbal cue, but she's just kind of a slow mover when it comes to doing it. So just give her a second to process and complete the behavior. The other thing you'll see me doing with both sit and down is rewarding her a second and or third time for holding that position. This helps just solidify the cue and make sure our dog doesn't start guessing what we want by immediately going from a sit to laying down, or after they receive the treat from laying down, popping up into a sit. For recall, you're going to say her name, Luna, and then come. After you've said Luna, come, and she turns to look at you, you're going to mark yes. That's going to get her moving towards you, and then praise her all the way to you, and then reward with a treat.
Luna,
marking that yes as soon as she turns to look at you is a really important piece, because that's what gets her moving and finishing that recall. You can practice recall in two ways, through games and then kind of real life practice. Both of those instructions are listed in your training notes. You can practice both of these things in the backyard, the front yard on a long leash, in a green space at a park on a long leash, or in some other safe kind of fenced in area. But the more places you can practice, the better. This is going to help solidify her recall, help her be able to do it in any environment with any distraction, so that you're prepared in case there's ever an emergency and you're needing to recall her. Go ahead. Say yes. Place means go there and stay there until released. Her release word is free. So you're going to point towards the bed saying place. Wait until she gets onto the bed. Then you're going to mark yes, placing the treat onto the bed. And then you're going to walk around, move around, periodically coming back and rewarding her. And then when you're ready to be done, you'll release her with free. You do not need to reward that free with a treat. Free just means she's free to do what she wants, whether that's stay laying there or get up. And it does not need a treat, because we want to make sure that the staying part is more rewarding than getting up, because getting up is the easy part. When you reward for her being on her place, you want to make sure that you place the treat on the bed. This is a very important piece, because if you give it to her from your hand to her mouth, a lot of dogs will start getting up off of their bed to meet you for it when they see you coming towards them, because they're anticipating that treat in your hand. We want her to know that the treats come to her where she is, and that she doesn't need to get up off her bed, because the bed is where all the magic happens. You can practice place in kind of two different scenarios. One is in a formal training session like you see me doing here. And in these sessions, what you're working on is building up duration between the treats and distance that you can walk away from her, as well as distractions. So you'll see me here doing different things like stomping, dropping an object, opening a door, walking far away. And we're practicing and kind of testing her ability to hold her stay no matter what is happening. So this is a really important part of training place, especially for those distractions, because a lot of times they'll learn their place and they can do it with no distractions, but they can't do it when all those fun and exciting, crazy things are happening. So you're building in distractions a little at a time. Do one or two distractions, reward her. One or two distractions, reward her. As she gets better, you're going to not only add in more time and duration between those treats, but you can also add in more distractions, more moving around, and that's what's going to build up her stay. Another really fun way to practice informal training sessions to build on distractions is by getting the kids involved. This is a really fun way to let kids be a part of training without them being the ones that are actually doing the training. So what you would do is cue her to place. You're going to stand next to her and rewarding her periodically. And you're going to basically play Simon Says with the kids. You're going to have the kids do things like jump, run, crawl, roll around, squeal and scream, whatever crazy kid things they want to do. And each time you're going to reward her for each of those things. Then as she gets better, you can start doing things like have them do 1 or 2 things or run for a little bit longer and then reward her, right? And we're slowly building the amount of things we're asking for her between those treats so we can start spreading that out and building up to weaning off of the treats. But this is a slow process. She is still young, so you're going to want to practice this a lot. But this is a great way to get the kids involved and also for her to practice watching the kids do crazy kid things and not always getting in the middle of it and involved, which does help with her impulse control, especially when it comes to things like biting and nipping, which are always a little bit more exaggerated between dogs and children than dogs and adults, just because kids are a little bit more exciting than us. And then the other way to practice place is in real life context. So this is going to be things like place during dinner time, place while somebody's cooking, working, watching TV, kind of just building it into habits when you might actually want her to place. So for me, this is a big one for dinner time so that you don't have a dog that is practicing begging, practicing counter surfing, as well as when you have guests over, right? We want a nice, polite dog that kind of stays on their bed and not bothers our guests during meal times. So this is a great way to practice. What you're going to do, though, with this practice is what I call passive training. So you're not even necessarily going to cue her to place. You're going to just bring the bed over next to the table so that you're able to reward her. And when you guys start to eat and you see her get on the bed, you're going to just toss her a treat. Keep eating. You notice she's still there. Toss her another one. Continue that throughout dinner. In the beginning, you're going to want to reward heavily, and then you can kind of build that up over time and add in more duration, just like we were doing in the other training sessions, and build up the amount of time between each treat. This is a great way to build overall duration because we're having her sit through an entire dinner. And so she's building up her long-term duration for this. She's building in real life context when you're actually going to want her to be doing this. And the great thing about it is if you continuously practice this kind of on everyday, regular basis, what you'll see is a dog that you don't even have to ask to place. And that's kind of where she's at right now in my house. She sees us sit down for dinner. She knows exactly what that means. She goes straight to her bed and lays down and waits for me to reward her. And ultimately, the reason I don't cue place in this scenario is because when you cue place, you have to be really on top of it with your reinforcement so that you can release her when she's ready. But when you're eating dinner, you're feeding children too, your attention is so divided that you won't be on top of it like you are in a formal training session. So what I love about this is if she does get up, you'll do nothing. And just let her get up. She might go get water. She might walk around for a second. When she comes back and she lays back down, you reward her. So what she's just learning is that when she chooses the bed, she gets rewarded. And that's ultimately what we want from our dogs is that they learn what to do in context without always having to be told. But this takes the pressure off you when you're trying to train and eat dinner, but also is building a lot of great habits for her. And my final tip for this is to use something like string cheese, something that you don't mind touching, and then touching your own food versus your standard dog treats.
Luna,
Wait means stop and don't go any further. So when we say wait, we're drawing an imaginary line and telling them they are not allowed to cross it. But they do not have to stay still. That's kind of the beauty of wait versus a place stay, is they're allowed to move around. So they can stand, lay, sit, move around even, as long as they do not cross that line. So as you see, kind of what I'm doing here is I said, wait. I walked up the stairs. She's allowed to do anything else but cross that line. So I'm going to walk around, reward her periodically by tossing the treat back to her. And then free is the release word to tell her she can come through. I love this for stairs so that you're not getting tripped going up and down stairs. And then, of course, this is the kind of ultimate thing to practice at the front door so that we don't have a dog that dashes when doors are left open. So you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to tell her to wait, walk out the door. You can practice just moving around or even picking up a package, come back in, shut the door, and then reward her. You only need to use that release word free if you're letting her cross the line like I did on the stairs. But with the front door, if I'm not letting her go out the door, then I'm not going to release her. I'm just going to simply come in, shut the door, and reward. No need to say anything else. If I was going to take her on a walk, though, I would say wait, step out the door, and then free to tell her she can come with me out the door. But you want to practice this a lot at the front door when you're not taking her out, so that she learns that the standard is when the door is open, I don't go out the door. But we'll let you know when you do, because you're going to go in and out the doors way more than she is. You can practice these in training sessions, but also just build this into your real life practice. If you guys have packages at the door, somebody stepping out the door, practice cueing her to wait and then go. Here, I really wanted to challenge her to see if I walked away from the door, would she still continue to wait and not try to bolt out, even with me not standing there blocking the door. And obviously she did amazing. Leave it means back away from the item you were headed towards. So here I'm practicing with treats. I'm dropping treats and saying leave it. And then when she does kind of back up or stay away from them, I'm going to mark yes and reward her. This is a really great way to practice to build up for children, dropping food, anything like that, or people carrying food, cooking, food drops. Sometimes it's safe for them to eat, sometimes it's not. We want to make sure that we can tell them to leave it. In that video, you can see I didn't have the treat on me because that's going to be kind of what is normal for you. So you're going to want to practice that as well. Drop it means let go of the thing that is in your mouth. So you can practice this with things like high value, like a bone, or just random things that she finds. She's done really well with this. But just like leave it, in real life, you're not likely to have a treat on your person. And so what you'll do is you'll say the cue, leave it or drop it, and then do what we call a praise party all the way to the treats, and then reward her. We're going to drag out that reinforcement by praising her and then rewarding her. Being a poodle and retriever mix, you're going to see her want to put a lot of stuff in her mouth. That's pretty standard for those breeds. So you just want to make sure you're really practicing these a lot and heavily rewarding it when she listens. And last but certainly not least is enrichment. Enrichment is providing a dog with things and activities that let them be a dog. It is about filling their cup and their needs outside of just your typical food, water, shelter. So this is going to include things like playtime with you, playtime outdoors to just make choices of her own and be a dog, whether that's walk around sniffing, chew a stick, roll around in the grass, just time to be a dog and make some of her own choices, as well as activities that work her brain. All of our dogs were bred to do jobs at some point in their life, and that DNA is still there. They have the mental capacity. They want to do things, and they want to use their brain. And so one way you can do this is through training and practicing her training and doing sessions with her. The other way is through puzzle toys. So I've tried a lot of different ones with her, and so those will all be linked in your training notes so that you can find those ones for her. But giving her puzzle toys is a great way. You can just do this by putting treats in it, but my favorite way to do this is by actually using her meal times as puzzle activities. This is going to drag out her mealtime into 15-20 minutes. It's going to give her a built-in mental activity for the day. And something you just don't have to think about as much. So instead of pouring the food into the bowl, you're going to pour it into these different puzzle toys. This helps give her a mental outlet and meant for that energy. And ultimately, filling your dog's cup in all of these ways and making sure that their life is enriched in all of these ways and letting them do those dog behaviors is ultimately what is going to give you the calm, well-behaved pet dog. They need that cup filled to be able to do all those doggy things. It's not just the obedience, it is all of that. And so this is a huge piece of the puzzle, is letting them have all that time. So you'll see more of this in your notes, ideas, activities, different things kind of that qualify for this kind of category of enrichment. But like I said, ultimately it is all about filling their cup and meeting those needs outside of your food, water, shelter, and kind of love and attention even. It's playtime with you. It's playtime, kind of what I call free play, to make choices outside and just be a dog, having bones and items to chew on, just kind of all of that physical exercise and then mental exercise. And that's often a piece that's really missing. So she is really smart, and she is what I would label kind of a medium energy dog. And if her needs have not been met, she's a little bit more ornery in the house. She's more likely to try to chew on things, pick up things that we don't want her picking up. So making sure that her energy throughout the day is put into different things in a mix of those categories, physical, mental, playtime, is what is going to get you kind of that well-rounded dog that we're all looking for. And that's a wrap on Luna's training.